You know, it seems like everyone's always searching for that secret recipe, that magic formula to make their writing stand out online. And Nicholas Cole, in his book, The Art and Business of Online Writing, he kind of promises he's got the goods. You're
There you
looking
go.
to, like, really up your writing game, right? And this book, it's packed with advice from someone who went from pro gamer to, get this, a taught writer on platforms like Quora and Inc. magazine.
Yeah, his story's wild, right? And what's cool is Cole, he doesn't approach writing with that whole like struggling artist, Starvin and Garrett vibe. Not at all. He sees it as a game, like a literal game you can win if you learn the rules, level up your skills. One of the first things he digs into is this idea of, get this, conscious versus unconscious writing.
Okay, now you've got me curious. Conscious versus unconscious. Break that down for me. What's he talking about there?
Basically,
Yeah.
it's all about being intentional, right? Unconscious writing, that's just you like flinging words at a page and hoping anything sticks,
Yeah.
But conscious writing, that's different. It's understanding how to grab someone's attention online and, more importantly, keep it. It's about structuring your writing to, like, hit hard.
So less like, being swept away by inspiration and more like being a strategist with your words.
100%. And Cole, he takes it a step further. He breaks it down into, get this, 4 levels of online writing. And the
Hmm.
first level, it's all about these, what do you call it, category kings?
Okay, category king sounds kind of intense. But what does that even mean? And what does it have to do with me trying to, like, write a half-decent blog post?
Okay, so think about the biggest names in any genre, right? Like you've got Stephen King, the king of horror, right?
Yeah.
Or Malcolm Gladwell, he's like the king of, I don't know, social commentary. Those are your category kings. They rule their domain. And Cole, he says if you want to break through, you got 2 options. One, you can be better than the current king in your niche, which, let's be honest, that's a seriously tough ask.
Yeah, I don't think I'm out kinging Stephen King anytime soon. So what's the other option then? What am I left with?
All right, so the other option, and this is where it gets interesting, is to find a category where there's, yeah, no king yet. Or, a category where the throne is like a little shaky, a little less crowded. Cole calls this being different, not better.
So, like, find your own lane, become the ruler of your own little writing kingdom. I like the sound of that.
Exactly. And that leads us to level 3. This one gets into your writing style. Where do you fall on that spectrum of educating to entertaining? Are you all about, straight up information, no chaser, or do you weave in some humor, personal stories, make it fun?
Right, because you got to find that sweet spot where people are, like, learning stuff but also enjoying themselves. That's the holy grail, isn't it?
100%. And that takes us to level 4, which, and Cole's adamant about this, is absolutely crucial if you want to make it online. Writing for speed.
Okay, yeah, that's real. Because, let's be honest, it's 2024, everybody's scrolling, skimming, getting distracted by, like, every notification that pops up. Attention spans are. Well, they're not what they used to be.
Preach. And Cole, he calls this the rate of revelation, right? It's how quickly you deliver new info to keep people hooked. And he makes this like brilliant comparison. He gives you 2 paragraphs about a glass of water, right? One is slow, it's descriptive, takes forever to get at the point. The other, bam, shattered glass, blood everywhere, axe-wielding neighbor.
Okay, you definitely have my attention now. So, like, even if I'm not writing about, axe murders, how do I actually use that in my own writing?
Think of it this way. It's about keeping things concise, keeping things moving, short sentences, impactful language, create a sense of urgency. It's like give the people what they want.
Got it. Concise and captivating, that's what we're going for. Now, I gotta say, something that really stuck out to me in the book was Cole's whole thing about being specific, like really specific, this idea of finding your niche. What do you think about that?
Oh, it's huge, especially when you're starting out. He says that instead of being afraid of like being put in a box, you got to lean into it.
Hmm.
He uses content marketing as an example. Like instead of just saying, hey, I write about marketing, you could say, I help e-commerce startups create content that actually converts.
So the more specific you get, the better, even if it feels kind of counterintuitive. But I can see how it makes you stand out.
Exactly. And Cole, he gives you this whole practical framework for finding that sweet spot. He's all about starting with a broad category and like getting more and more granular with it. So let's say you're, I don't know, you love to write about personal finance.
Well, okay, I'm following.
So instead of trying to be the next Dave Ramsey, you could niche down to like financial planning for, I don't know, freelancers and entrepreneurs, but like specifically in the creative industry. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So it's still broad enough that you've got room to, experiment to grow, but it's also targeted enough that you're going to attract a specific kind of reader.
exactly.
That actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let's say I found my niche. I'm writing in a way that's like, concise and captivating. What's the next step in Cole's master plan for, total online writing domination?
Credibility, my friend. Building that credibility. He talks about two kinds: earned credibility and perceived credibility.
All right, I'm all ears. Give me the breakdown. What's the difference?
So, earned credibility, that's all about results, right? How many views are you getting? Shares, comments, engagement, that's the big one. It's basically you proving that you know what you're talking about and that people are actually interested in hearing it.
So it's like letting your work speak for itself.
Exactly.
What about this perceived credibility thing? What's that all about?
So that's more about like external validation. Think of awards, getting published in big name magazines, having a fancy title, that kind of stuff.
Like having New York Times bestselling author slapped on your book cover?
Bingo. And Cole, he makes this point that, well, perceived credibility can definitely be helpful. It's not essential, especially when you're just starting out. He's much more focused on how you can build that earned credibility through, putting in the work, showing up consistently, and creating really strategic content. For example, he talks about how he used Quora's top writer badge to establish himself early on in his career. Like, he put that badge everywhere. His bio, his website, even on his answers on Quora.
Smart, because people see that and they're like, oh, snap, this guy's legit. Core doesn't just give those badges out to anybody. What other, like, I don't know, little nuggets of wisdom does Cole offer for building that credibility from, like, the ground up?
Well, he's big on this idea that even small wins are huge. Like, did an article you wrote get a ton of shares? Did some big name in your industry retweet you? Shout it from the rooftops.
Love it. So it's all about showing people you're the real deal.
Okay, so far we're writing consistently, we're laser focused on our niche, we're building that credibility, street cred. Now, where should we actually be writing all this amazing content? Does he like weigh in on the whole blogging versus social media debate?
So he actually thinks that starting with a blog might not be the best move, actually, which I thought was interesting. He's all about those social media platforms, at least at first, places like Medium, LinkedIn, even Twitter.
So like instead of trying to build your own audience from scratch on your own website, you're tapping into these like huge existing audiences. Exactly. He talks about how these platforms, they're basically like giant content libraries, and they are starving for new voices, fresh perspectives. And he breaks down platform growth into, get this, 5 distinct phases. But phase three is the magic one, the golden window, he calls it.
Okay, now you have to tell me more. What's so special about phase 3 and why is it a golden window? Don't leave me hanging.
Okay, so picture this. Phase 3 is like, it's where a platform have a really solid user base, right? People are using it, it's a thing.
Yeah.
But it hasn't gotten like crazy oversaturated yet. So it's the sweet spot for getting your work seen because one, the algorithms are like still figuring things out. And two, you're not competing with like a zillion other creators for attention.
Ah, so it's like getting in on the ground floor of something big before it's like the hottest ticket in town.
Exactly. Think about like Quora back in the day. Cole was there, writing consistently, building his rep. And because Quora was still in that sweet spot, that phase 3, his content, boom, just exploded. Got tons of organic reach.
Interesting. And it makes you think twice about, chasing after every shiny new social media app that pops up, right?
Right. Like sometimes the smarter move is to focus on where the opportunity is ripe.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, speaking of reaching a wider audience, Cole also wrote for like some pretty big publications. I mean, Inc. magazine, that's huge. Was that like part of his strategy? And did it, I don't know, did it live up to the hype?
So he's really open about this. He actually says that getting published in like these big name outlets, it's not always that magic bullet people think it is. He even shares like data and stuff from his time at Inc. And you know what? A lot of the articles he wrote for them, they didn't exactly go viral just because they had the Inc. name attached.
So it's not an automatic ticket to like internet fame and fortune.
Nope. You still got to hustle. You got to write amazing content. And even then, there are no guarantees.
It's true. Sometimes the algorithm, it just works in mysterious ways.
Tell me about it. And you know what else he realized?
What's that?
That while writing for, established publications definitely has its perks, it can be kind of stifling too.
How so?
Well, they have like really strict style guidelines. The editorial process can take forever. And sometimes you just don't have as much creative freedom.
So less control, less agility.
Exactly.
What was like Cole's big takeaway from the whole experience?
He really stresses that while writing for, like, the big guys can be great down the line, the best place to start to really build your foundation. It's on a social media platform that aligns with, your niche, your people.
Mm.
But, and this is crucial, it has to be a platform that gives you data, like good data.
Because data is king. It tells you what people are actually clicking on, what they're sharing, how long they're like actually reading your stuff. It's like having a direct line to your audience's brains.
100%.
Yeah.
And having that data, it lets you like refine your writing, try new things, experiment. It helps you become a better writer, the kind of writer who really resonates with their people.
Music to my ears. Okay, we've talked a lot about like the strategy behind online writing, but what about the actual, writing part? Did Cole drop any like aha moments on crafting content that's truly captivating, that stands out from all the noise?
Oh, absolutely. He has this thing he calls the 5 forms of proven writing,
Yeah.
which are basically frameworks for structuring your content in a way that really grabs people's attention.
Ooh, frameworks. I love a good framework. Tell me everything. What are these magical 5 forms?
Okay, so first up, you've got the actionable guide.
Hmm.
This one's all about, giving people clear step-by-step instructions. Think how-to articles, tutorials, anything that gives your readers a roadmap, like do this, then this, then this, and boom, results.
Nice. What else?
Then you've got the opinion piece. This is where you share your, hot take on something, your unique perspective. But, and this is important, it can't just be a rant, right? You need to back it up with evidence, solid reasoning, maybe even some personal anecdotes to drive the point home.
So it's about having a strong opinion, but also like being able to articulate it in a way that's convincing, that makes people think, what's next?
Next up, we've got the curated list. And listen, everybody loves a good list, right? But it can't just be random. It needs a theme, a clear purpose. So instead of just 10 things I like, it's like the top 10 tools every freelancer needs, or 5 mistakes to avoid when starting an online business. You get the idea.
Oh, totally. List posts are like the internet's love language. They're easy to read, easy to share, and you can pack a ton of info into a really digestible format.
Exactly. Okay, moving on. We've got the story, and this is where you get to like really tap into the power of narrative.
Yeah.
Using stories to connect with your readers on an emotional level. This could be a personal anecdote, a case study, maybe even a fictional story that illustrates a point. And last but not least, we have the credible talking head.
Okay, now that one has my attention. What's the deal with the credible talking head?
So this is you, right? But you're leveraging your expertise to offer insights, analysis, really deep dive into a topic. Think of it like you're being interviewed as an expert on a podcast or something. You're sharing your knowledge, but in a way that positions you as like a thought leader, an authority in your field.
It's giving, I know what I'm talking about, so listen up.
Exactly.
Now, one thing that always trips me up, and I know I'm not alone here, is writing headlines. You know those make or break few words that decide whether someone actually clicks on your article or scrolls on by? Did Cole offer any wisdom on that front?
Oh, he did. He did. He's got a whole chapter dedicated to headlines. He really drives home how crucial they are, Like those few words, they're what get people to actually click, to actually read your masterpiece. Yeah. And he breaks down like the anatomy of a killer headline into 3 main parts. So first, you got to tell people what the heck the article's about, right? Obvious but important. Then you got to let them know who it's for, who should care. And then this is the big one, the promise. Like, what problem are you solving for them? What's the benefit? What's in it for them?
So it's not just about being like clever or trying to write the next great American novel in 6 words or less. It's about being clear, being specific, and actually offering something valuable to the reader right there in the headline.
100%. He talks about creating this curiosity gap, right? Like you're giving them a little taste, just enough to make them hungry for more. And he throws out some seriously useful headline formulas, like templates you can use for your own writing, like using numbers, always a winner, right? So something like the 5 biggest mistakes content marketers make.
Oh, yeah. Numbers, those always draw the eye.
Right. Or you can pose a question like, are you making these common grammar mistakes?
Ooh, a little guilt trip never hurt anybody, right?
Hey, sometimes it works. Or you can tap into something timely, like what the latest Google algorithm update means for your website.
Ooh, yeah, gotta stay relevant.
Okay.
Okay, these are good. These are good. I'm already feeling more confident about my headline game. All right, so I've written this amazing headline. Someone clicks through. Now what? How do I keep them on that page, keep them engaged? Did Cole have any, like, pro tips on structuring a whole piece for maximum impact?
Structure, that's his jam. One framework he loves is this 1 3,000 structure. Basically, you break your whole piece into 3 sections.
Okay, I love a good three-act structure. I'm listening.
So that first third, that's your hook, your intro. You got to grab them by the eyeballs right off the bat, introduce the topic, set the stage. The middle third, that's the meat, the good stuff. This is where you deliver on the promise of your headline. Insights, arguments, data, whatever you're serving up. And then that last third, that's your conclusion. You sum up your key points, give them a call to action if that's your jam, and leave them with something to think about.
So it's like, you're building a house, you get your foundation, your framing, and then like you start decorating, making it look all nice.
Love the analogy. And you know what else he's big on? Visual breaks. Make it easy on the eyes, Subheadings, bullet points. List anything that breaks up that wall of text.
Oh, 100%. Nobody wants to scroll through a novel on their phone, right?
Yeah, right. Keep it snappy. And here's another little nugget. Repetition. Use it strategically. I'm not talking about like repeating the same word over and over, but like bringing back those key concepts, saying them in a new way,
Yeah.
helps it stick in people's minds.
Because sometimes you got to hear something a few times for it to really sink in.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered a lot, but here's another biggie a lot of writers struggle with. Finding that sweet spot between talking about yourself, sharing your experiences, and keeping the focus on the reader.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. You want to build that connection, be relatable, but you also don't want to bore people with a story about, like, how your goldfish got lost in its tank one time.
Right. And Cole, he has this framework for this too. He calls it the golden intersection. It's basically finding that perfect overlap where what the reader wants to know meets what you, the writer, can authentically share from your own life.
So using your personal experiences, but always tying it back to, like, how it benefits the reader, how they can use it.
Exactly. He gives this example of a writer who's like a real estate guru. He's always talking about how much money he's making, how many houses he's flipped, but the reader's like, okay, cool story, but what about me?
Yeah, so it's less about bragging and more about, like, turning your experiences into actionable advice that people can actually use.
Bingo. So instead of saying, I flipped 10 houses last year and made bank, it's like, here are the 5 strategies I used to flip 10 houses last year. Go forth and do likewise, my friend.
Okay, that's good. It's subtle, but it totally changes the vibe, makes it way more reader focused. And I love how Cole doesn't just like drop all this wisdom on you and then peace out. He actually wants you to like put it into practice, build a real writing career.
Right. He's all about that action.
Okay, so for our listeners who are ready to, level up, turn their words into, I don't know, internet gold, what are some of Cole's top tips for building a writing career that actually pays the bills?
He's got you covered.
Yeah.
He breaks down the business of writing into like 4 main models. The one he's not crazy about. Ads. Plastering ads all over your website or in your articles.
Yeah, I feel like nobody really loves that model, It's like you need a gazillion readers to make any real money, and it just creates a kind of icky vibe.
Totally. He's much more into things like affiliate marketing, where you team up with a company, promote their stuff in your writing, and earn a commission every time someone buys through your, special link.
So if you're, say, a tech blogger, you could become an affiliate for, like, a software company or something.
Exactly. Then there's the exclusivity model. That's where you create your own products or services, ebooks, courses, membership communities, and sell them directly to your audience.
So you're packaging your knowledge and expertise into a premium product. Very cool.
And last but not least, the services model. That's basically you saying, hey, I learned how to do this thing really well.
Yeah.
Writing killer sales copy, managing social media, whatever. Now I'm going to offer that as a service to others.
So it's like taking your skills and turning them into a business. Love it.
And that's Cole's big message. There are tons of different ways to make money from your writing, It's about figuring out what works for you, for your audience, and for your goals.
I am so here for that message. Now, one thing that really resonated with me from Cole's book was this idea of like not just chasing trends, but building a library of what he calls timeless content. Can you unpack that a little? Like, what does that even mean and why should we care?
It's about thinking beyond the here and now, right? Like, yeah, you can write about the latest social media craze or whatever's blowing up the internet this week, but that stuff is fleeting. Timeless content. That's the good stuff, the stuff that's still going to be relevant next year, 5 years from now, maybe even longer. It's about solving those evergreen problems, exploring those fundamental human experiences, the stuff that people are always going to be searching for answers to.
So it's about creating content that has staying power, that continues to resonate with people long after the initial buzz has faded. And that, I think, is a really powerful idea. It's not just about getting clicks today, it's about building something that lasts. Which, in a way, brings us to our final thought, right? Like, what kind of timeless content are you being called to create?
What kind of legacy are you building with your words?
Ooh, I like that. Something to think about, for sure. To all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the art and business of online writing by Nicholas Cole. Until next time, keep writing, keep creating, and keep those words flowing.